Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello and welcome to a special Between Takes episode of Missing Frames. I am your host, Shawn Eastridge. Normally on Missing Frames, we watch all the movies we should have seen by this point in our lives, but with these Between Takes episodes, it gives us an opportunity to do filmmaker interviews, things that fall outside that concept. And one of my favorite things to do on Between Takes is the Franchyze Boiz franchise watches, and that's what we're doing here right now with perhaps the most epic franchise we've ever done. And by epic, I mean the most. There are so many movies in this franchise. And let me introduce you to my compadres. First and foremost, the man whose fault this all is, Aaron Prescott. Welcome back.
Greetings.
And also the gentleman who did not do enough to stop this from happening, and that would be Mr. Brad Gullickson. Welcome, Brad.
That is deadly accurate. Hello!
So we are going to be watching the entire Godzilla franchises. I see, Godzilla Minus One is out. People are getting excited. I see some rewatches here and there. Some YouTubers I follow, some podcasts are doing it, but no one is committing to the entire franchise. What's wrong with you? It's time for the Franchyze Boiz to step in and step up. But to be completely honest, this was very close to not happening at all. Aaron, you were the one who pitched this. And do you recall what the reaction to the pitch for the Godzilla franchise watch was?
I think it was dead silence and slight chuckles. I'm a very big Godzilla fan. So as soon as like the Godzilla Minus One trailer came out, I was like, well, fellas, you know what we have to do? We have to do this stupid thing, which is watch 30-something movies and talk about them all. Which I thought sounded like a brilliant idea, and I still do, and I'm sticking to my guns because there could not be a better time to be a Godzilla fan, or just talking about Godzilla, than coming up on 70-year anniversary. Godzilla Minus One's tearing up the theater. We have a Godzilla TV show on. There's a new Godzilla trailer just dropped. It's Godzilla everything, and I couldn't be happier.
Look. I love Godzilla, okay? But we have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes coming out next year. Which I have also proposed. But if we do Godzilla, are we going to get all the Godzilla movies done by the time it's time to talk Planet of the Apes? I'm concerned.
It's Christmas, Theo. It's the time for miracles. We are going to do our darndest. We're going to do our absolute darndest. But it's true. Aaron pitched this. I think Brad and I were like, that's a lot of movies. I don't know. I think I want to say almost 40 movies. I want to say it's 30 to 40. I've watched them and I couldn't tell you how many there are. That's how many there are.
Have you've completed all of them by this point?
I've watched I've now at this point that we're recording seen every single Godzilla movie except for the Netflix ones, if we're counting those.
We are.
I'm counting them.
Okay, I'm going to watch those. So those are the only ones I haven't seen.
You saw Godzilla Minus One?
I've seen Godzilla Minus One. Yes.
Have you watched Monarch: Legacy of Monsters?
I haven't watched that, but I'm going to watch that too. So we're going to include. There will be. Right. You know what, Brad? You know what? I don't want to hear this negativity. It's about positive. We're gonna do this, Brad. I like that you're the one who's like, we're not going to do this, and then you're grilling me about like, did you watch this one? Did you watch this one? So we're going to do it. We're committing.
You do or do not. There is no try.
Absolutely, and that's why we're doing it. But here's what happened after Aaron pitched this when the Minus One trailer came out, which I guess was maybe over the early summer. I want to say May or June or something. I was like, no. And then a month ago, literally a little over a month ago, I decided I wanted to watch The Return of Godzilla, the 1984 reboot ish, one of the many reboots in this franchise. And I watched it and I was like, well, maybe I'll just watch the first Godzilla. I might as well. And I put that on, and then I jumped ahead to 2014 And then I jumped back to Godzilla Raids again. And then I messaged Aaron and Brad and said, oh, by the way, we're doing this. It's happening. And I kind of powered through all of them. I don't know what came over
Some would
me.
say an unhealthy power through. Like
yeah, well, you wouldn't be wrong. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm still recovering. You may hear my brain kind of short circuit every so often in this episode, because first and foremost, there are a lot of these to watch. So we've split this up into eras, and even then we've had to split it up even more, because the Showa era has 15 movies. The other eras are more, I think,
manageable,
palatable. Yeah, they're manageable. I think the Heisei era has 8 or so, and then Millennium has like 5. And then I don't know what era we're in right now that has Shin Godzilla and -1. And then
when
I guess
we finally finish this series in the
5 years from
Trump
now
presidency, will people still care?
I hope so. I mean, I imagine, I believe in us completing this before the 70th anniversary of Godzilla.
I could care less. This is for my own joy. I only do things for my love.
Punishing us is what Aaron loves most in the world, and really this is our present to him for the holidays. So that's what we're here for, is just spreading a little holiday cheer to your ear holes. So that's what happened. Let's go ahead and let's talk about our first exposures to Godzilla. I think I may have been talking about something else that I thought I didn't finish. Again, that's going to happen a lot. You're going to have to deal with this. That's what I was saying. We're splitting up the eras, and there's going to be an American era, and then I guess we'll do like the miscellaneous Monarch era, because I guess that's
part of the Legacy, or the Monsterverse.
Okay, we'll say Monsterverse. That's what we'll call the American ones.
And does that mean we then have to watch like Kong Skull Island?
No, we don't have to watch Kong Skull Island.
Sure?
Kong, the Kong. I mean, you can. I haven't seen it.
I just feel like it's part of the franchise, right? So
you can bring it in if you want, Brad. You know what? If you watch it, we will talk about it.
Okay.
We will let you talk about it and sell us on that movie. But I do kind of want to see it. I think I should see it. Maybe.
Have you not seen it?
No.
Oh, what? Man.
Yeah. So maybe that is something we should bring into the fold.
It's fun,
because you know, why not add 10 more movies and make this and a good solid even 50 movies in
and is the original King Kong part of the Monsterverse?
No. I mean, no, but also why not? It could be.
No, but why not? Yes.
No,
I like that answer the best.
There is a distinctive difference between that King Kong and the King Kong that appears in at least the early versions of this franchise. But all right. Now that we've kind of laid out the ground rules, these are going to be rolling out over the coming months as we slowly but surely get through them, aka Brad, who is more slowly and more surely getting through them than Aaron
already being put on blast.
But Aaron, please tell us, as the Godzilla fanboy who made all of this happen, do you remember just your first exposure to the character? What made you kind of fall in love with him? In some versions of this, he might not even be him. I truly can't tell. I only Roland Emmerich knows, but share the story with the world.
Yeah, no, I know Godzilla's kind of always just kind of been there, and especially growing up, it was the Showa era for me, and just kind of seeing these like old vintage, guy in a rubber suit stomping on cardboard cities, and that just it was perfect for me. Getting to see some Jet Jaguar and some Rodan and some King Caesar, and it was just a blast. It's probably my quote unquote guiltiest of pleasures, and I hate using that term because I never feel guilty watching an actual guilty pleasure movie. Like I don't believe in that thing. I just know it's a buzzword I'm supposed to use. But it's I unabashedly love Godzilla, and it's definitely a comfort watch. Like I could probably put on any one of them and have a complete blast with it. I think also because there's so many different iterations or different stylings or different tones that these movies take, and that's the best part is you literally have everything you could possibly want in a movie, and all you have to do is just pick which one you want from a different era or a different series or just whatever. It's a work of art.
And it's not even, a lot of times, especially in this day and age, it's very easy to be like, you bring this director into the fold, and it's very much like, this is Christopher Nolan's take on Batman. But with Godzilla, what's stunning and very funny about it is that, Ishiro Honda kicks off the franchise with a very specific vision, and then he's the one who by Toho mandate has to make Godzilla more kid-friendly and ridiculous. So he's also the one directing some of the more outlandish and absurd entries in this franchise. But Brad, what about you? What's your relationship with Godzilla?
I think the first time I became aware of Godzilla was while watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure. At the end of that film, Pee-wee is running amok on his bicycle, tearing through various studio lots, and comes across the filming of a fight scene between King Ghidorah and Godzilla. And I didn't know what that was, but I remember thinking it looked interesting. And then I think, Godzilla started to like culturally absorb into my brain from that point forward without having watched any of that stuff. I vividly remember the Charles Barkley versus Godzilla Nike commercial.
Heck yeah.
And Dark Horse Comics did an adaptation of that Nike commercial. And I remember that book. I remember Art Adams doing some Godzilla comics in the 90s as well for Dark Horse. But my first Godzilla movie was the classic Roland Emmerich remake in 1998.
That sounds about right. That tracks.
What era is that?
It's the
it's its era all its own.
Yeah, it's its own era, I believe.
And so we're gonna do like a whole separate movie on that one.
Yes,
we're gonna.
A whole separate episode,
not just a podcast episode. No, we're filming a movie, a documentary starring the three of us, trying to comfort one another as we work our way through that trauma.
I did not see the original Godzilla until college, and I drove to Richmond a couple hours in the car to see it, and I was impressed by it. And then I eventually, committed to tracking down as many Godzilla movies as I could. And that's
the original, the Japanese version, I don't think was available in America until like 2004. I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
We had King of the Monsters, which with Raymond Burr. And they cut out a bunch of like the allegory for the atom bomb and just made it kind of a straightforward monster movie. And then Raymond Burr comes in and is like, "Oh, this is terrible." I've only seen it maybe once or twice when I was very young, but I don't have very strong memories of it. But my Godzilla, I honestly couldn't pinpoint when I first got into Godzilla. It's also one of those things that I remember a specific period in which I was watching a lot of them. My dad dated a woman who had 2 kids, and they were big Godzilla fans and owned a lot of the dubbed versions of the movies. So I remember that being kind of a big point for me, but I don't remember that being like my introduction. Like I knew what Godzilla was, and that was just oh great, now I have access to all these movies I can watch now. And I was about, I want to say 10 or 11 when the Roland Emmerich movie came out, and Independence Day was my favorite movie. So I was just like the perfect age, I guess, for a Roland Emmerich Godzilla. And I really didn't know any better. That was the first one I saw in theaters. And I think I was just like, well, it's called Godzilla and it has better special effects than the ones I'm used to seeing at home.
Does it though?
Yeah, I mean,
no, they're still pretty good. There's some really good stuff in there.
There is. And I guess you could say like, it was a modern, not like cheesy dubbed Godzilla, so it felt like, oh, this is serious stuff, and it's called Godzilla, so I guess it's a Godzilla movie. But I remember that being kind of a whole, like, it was all that stuff was happening right around the same time. And then I think like I kind of forgot about it as I got older until they released the original Japanese version in 2004, and I remember buying that on DVD just thinking like, oh, interesting, I didn't realize this was like a relatively serious movie and kind of a meditation about the atom bomb and all this stuff, and being really fascinated by the film from that point on. And really, I kind of saw Godzilla movies here and there. Of course, I saw the 2014 Godzilla and enjoyed it. Spoiler. But I think really once Criterion got that Showa set out, that kind of kicked everything off. And frankly, a lot of my Godzilla love today is Aaron's fault, because just planting the seed that we would be potentially doing this episode ended up kind of making me blast right through that franchise. And now I would say I'm probably as much of a super fan as I would imagine anybody to be with Godzilla, which I would say I was not like a super fan going into the franchise, but then kind of coming out of it, having watched everything, and also just minus one being sort of the cherry on top of that experience, has kind of elevated the entire franchise to me. And now I'm like, yes, I want all of this. I want all the Godzilla. I'm going online and buying these insane action figure replicas of the minus one Godzilla. That's the place I've gotten to now.
That's good to hear. You can name your second born after me.
That's what I'm planning. Well, my second born will be named Godzilla, but I will consider third born Aaron, certainly.
Okay.
Aaron Prescott Godzilla Eastridge.
Okay.
So this is, as we're going into the first film, the classic 1954 film, I want to just warn our listeners. I think I'm speaking maybe not on behalf of Aaron, who has written some incredible reviews on Letterboxd. I highly encourage you to check them out, of almost all of them, if not all of them. Right, Aaron?
Yeah, I think I have to go through the Millennium ones. Those are the only ones I haven't rewatched in a long time. But
okay,
yeah, everything else has a review.
Really great reviews that kind of help me keep track of these movies, because a lot of them blur together. And no joke, I marathoned this franchise about a month ago, so some of them stuck with me a little bit more than others, and you'll have to forgive me if I have less to say about some than others. But
I'm sort of in the same boat, Shawn. I've seen all of these movies. I wouldn't come on otherwise. Don't worry, I have some.
He's got the cred. Don't judge him.
Yeah. But I did not rewatch all of them in preparation for this conversation, because I knew Aaron got it. He got it.
I'm here for you, boys.
He's carrying us through this, and we love him for it. But also, like, Brad, even if you had watched them like more recently, there are some of them that are like, there are 5 Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. There's Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. There's Terror of Mechagodzilla. There's Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2, which is a sequel in a rebooted franchise that supposedly retconned everything before. So why is it number 2? I don't know. And then there's Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. So there are a lot of these that are like, which one is the one where this happens? Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of that happening in this episode, just to warn you, almost across the board. Because as wonderful as this franchise is, I will say, unlike maybe like James Bond, some of these are very clearly like, they're like, let's just get one out. Let's just, a couple of them.
You don't think that's the case for James Bond?
I could probably tell you what happens in each Bond movie. And to be fair, I've grown up with those and seen them more than Godzilla. So that may change. As I said, I'm now at the point where I'm kind of like, yes, I'm in my Godzilla obsession right now. So it could change, but I think, some of these don't stand out to me as much. But let's go ahead. Let's start with the first one, the classic 1954 film. Brad, we'll start with you, just because it sounds like you had a bit of an adventure getting to this. And I guess you went to Richmond they were screening the Japanese version of the film.
Yes, they were. I did eventually see the King of the Monsters version, but I did not respond well to it, and I've pretty much blocked Raymond Burr from my brain.
Same, yeah.
But I love the original Godzilla. It's the one that I've seen the most. In my head, there's like 2 Godzillas. There's like Godzilla that represents our sin, our scientific sin for creating the atom bomb, and then there's like the Godzilla that's represents Earth and is a savior of us. And I like both of them, but I would say that this version is the one that really comes to mind first before Godzilla as savior comes to mind.
Yeah, agreed. Aaron, how about you? Do you remember when you first, because you grew up with these, was it kind of like a cool moment to be like, oh, great, the Japanese version is out and I can finally watch it?
Yeah, it was almost like, getting to watch something completely new, because I was very much fully in that kind of mid range of Showa era movies of, like, King Kong versus Godzilla up until I don't know, like the Mecha Godzillas, of the late Showa era. And so when you have just like that mindset where it's like it's kind of goofy most of the time in those movies, he's kind of in superhero mode, and you don't fully, especially as a kid, you don't fully understand what's going on or what the symbolism is behind it. Then you kind of start to peel this onion back, and there's so many different layers that are going on, which is kind of what gets more interesting when we dip into different eras and it reveals a different time and reflection on that same thing. And we just got to do that same thing again, because I think we've said all three of us have seen Godzilla Minus One, and it's another kind of interpretation or reimagining of what that 54 was going on. And I think that obviously the first one I did see was with Raymond Burr, and I think that was the first one I showed my kids, because I really wanted to kind of show them Godzilla. I wanted them to kind of get some sort of representation from it. And since all of them weren't, when I showed it to them, weren't on the reading the subtitles super quick, I was like, oh, let's go with the dub with Raymond Burr, and we'll go through that, and they liked it just fine. But there is something vastly different with it. But it's funny that we, another thing that what I was thinking about when I said, hey, let's do the Godzilla movies, was that I really wanted to. For Brad and I used to do this podcast together. It's been kind of off for a couple of years, called Rest in Pictures, where we talked about dead people.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, remember that old thing?
You remember that?
Yeah. And so, a figure of cinematic history would pass away, and instead of jumping on the dead corpse of their fame, we took their what did they give us throughout cinematic history? How was it important? And we gave it 2-3 weeks where we watched as much as we could, and then we came back, we talked about it. But we'd kind of been on a little bit of a hiatus, and I remember I saw that the main suit guy, main suit Godzilla actor.
Oh yeah.
He just passed away a couple of years ago, and I think I tossed something out to Brad, and I was like, dude, I think we should come back for this and just watch all the Showa era ones that he was the main suit actor for. I think his name is Nakajima. And because it was just such an important part of my childhood. I love that stuff. And we didn't get through it, but I'm glad we get to do it here, and I can abuse your podcast to fulfill my dreams.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to Godzilla is the public interpretation. I another movie I've always liked to talk about as a double feature of Godzilla, which I'm not sure has been talked about before, is Akira Kurosawa's I Live in Fear. Because where Godzilla is this external, personification of the atomic bomb, I Live in Fear is about this, very personal paranoia that one elderly man is kind of going through. That's played by Toshiro Mifune, who's only in his 40s or something, but he's playing a 70-year-old, and he just completely nails it. But it's such a fantastic movie, and I completely would say anybody out there, go double feature Godzilla and I Live in Fear, and get the full experience of just the mindset and the fear and the paranoia that was going on at that time. And I think that's why Godzilla is one of the most important movies out there, because I can't think of another movie. Can you guys think of another movie that has there's been metaphors before, but this is the metaphor? Can anybody think of another movie that talks about something like this?
I was actually thinking about that before, because I'm sure there are, it's hard not to. There are older Akira Kurosawa films like what is the name? One Wonderful Sunday, which is one of my favorites, and I think one of the ones that people don't talk about enough. But it's very, I think it was like, I want to say early 50s, late 40s. So right in kind of like Japan is pulling itself back together and not really addressing the horror of the atomic bomb, but kind of like what Japan was at that time and how people were living around it. And it's a pretty joyous and wonderful film, but you do get this sense of a society trying to piece itself back together. But to your point, I think you hit the nail on the head of what makes Godzilla such a brilliant film and such an important film, is that this was it. I'd forgotten just how close this was released to to Nagasaki and Hiroshima, but it was less than a decade since those bombs were dropped. So this was 1954, and I don't remember the exact year, but it was like 8 years after the bombs had dropped. And that is insane. And for this to be like very much and clearly intended by the director, who has said as much, Ishiro Honda, who is best buds with Kurosawa and I believe was his assistant for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That metaphor was absolutely there. And I think the re-release of the Japanese version was an attempt to kind of revitalize Godzilla, because this is like, that version was released in 2004 in America. So it's like, 6 years after the Roland Emmerich movie. And my understanding of Godzilla was mostly like, oh yeah, it's guys in rubber suits and they fight each other,
right,
which is most of the films. To be fair, that is a completely legitimate version of Godzilla. But I think to what Brad was saying, the version that I find the most effective and affecting is the version where Godzilla is kind of a stand-in for the horrors, the uniquely Japanese horrors of that age. And I think some of the best Godzilla films have kind of acknowledged that very, very important Japanese connection. And I saw this one, like I said, I saw King of the Monsters, and I don't think I've seen it since I was a kid, because I'm sure I'm kind of curious. Like, it might be fun to go back maybe, but there is a part of me that feels like the intention of the American version of Godzilla, the first film, is to undercut the importance of that film, the message of the film. And to me, I'm just kind of like, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in Godzilla being an important statement about the state of Japan and just what they were going through and the psychology of that. And I think you're spot on, Aaron. I think it's an important historical document, because I think people who aren't as familiar with it think of it the way, oh, Godzilla, the monster in the suit, but it is incredibly affecting in the way it's addressing these issues.
Right. Well, saying that, I think King of the Monsters still has its place of importance, just because it is very evident how it kind of, steps back away from that metaphor. And, it's in a very, interesting to see it from the sort of redactive American point of view.
That's true.
So as much as it doesn't have that emotional, gut punch, there's something still historically interesting about seeing it from that angle. Now, there is a question I want to ask you guys that I feel like it only I just sort of popped in my head when I saw -1 the other week. And I don't want to get into like too much of -1 at all.
Can we just say though at the front, because this is going to be a long journey, and if anyone's listening to this, like, I have to wait until Brad, Aaron, and Shawn tell me whether or not -1. Let's just say we all agree -1 is 100% worth seeing.
Worth seeing.
Very
go
good.
see.
Very
Yes,
good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But with -1, the one thing that I did notice that I was like, did I ever notice that or think that? In -1, obviously the atomic bomb gets dropped and they're recovering, and then Godzilla shows up. In the original Godzilla, are we supposed to? Was it ever mentioned that the bomb was dropped or on Japan, or was Godzilla a substitute for the bomb?
No. I mean, I'm pretty sure. No.
He was awoken by hydrogen bomb testing, but I was like, are they substituting this out, and he's not? You know what I'm saying?
they don't explicitly say. I see what you're, because I don't know if they name drop.
They don't name
Hiroshima or Nagasaki.
Yeah,
and that's probably for a censor reason.
Probably.
Like they couldn't explicitly talk about it.
Yeah.
But the feeling I got is, -1 was able to explicitly address that this is post the bombs, post the war. I did get the feeling that it is like World War II is a recent history, and that Godzilla isn't the lone thing, like the lone atomic weapon coming through and wreaking havoc. I don't know. Maybe that's because of the historical context and the behind the scenes surrounding.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was supposed to be some sort of alternate universe where it never happened, but this thing just took its place.
Yeah, I mean that's I think there may be a valid argument
if that's true.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Brad. I think there's an argument to be made that maybe it's a stand-in, but I do think because it's such a uniquely Japanese tragedy that they were really hinging on that being in the history of Japan in that film.
Mm-hmm.
So I
now I'm trying to think about -1.
Yeah. Once I start thinking about -1, I never stop thinking about it because that movie is.
I'll have to
wonderful.
Consider that question in terms of -1's narrative the next time I watch it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. But
I guess that's kind of why maybe I was focused on it, because when I came out of it, I was like, what was the specific reason why they decided to title this -1? And I was thinking because it was a step back from the moment of the bomb being dropped. The bomb gets dropped, and then Godzilla takes it back even further. And I was wondering, well, in Godzilla, are we supposed to, the 54 version, are we supposed to think that Godzilla is that bomb, is that incident that completely destroyed a nation, and they're just using it solely as a metaphor? I just thought it was interesting and worth kind of thinking about.
Yeah, I'm willing to entertain that thought and that theory. I also think that Brad is right. I think the movie doesn't work as I know you hate it when I say that, but I think
Let me go get the lube.
The movie is stronger if it is taking place post World War II and post Nagasaki and Hiroshima within the context of the film. I also think, really, because Godzilla was part of, Godzilla was not the first monster movie. King Kong was the first big blockbuster that influenced all of these films. But King Kong, which is a film I'm not as familiar with, but I've seen it and I've enjoyed, doesn't have that emotional depth. It's a wonderful film.
I'm gonna reach into this microphone and punch you right in the face.
I know I'm gonna anger people, but King Kong
doesn't have emotional depth.
Okay. We'll save it for another podcast. But King Kong is primarily an adventure film and doesn't have the emotional trauma of
it's totally different.
Bomb. It's a different movie. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm not saying that makes it a worse movie.
Schindler's List when you compare it to Beauty and the Beast.
It's a situation in which I think monster movies were kind of seen as impressive entertainment with amazing cutting edge special effects. And for me, what gave Godzilla the edge, for me, Brad, calm down, was that it has this context of that the bombs and Japan's uniquely tragic situation regarding that. That gives it an emotional edge that I don't think King Kong has. Boom! No response. That's because I'm right.
I cannot respond to it. We will sidetrack this show so much. I like both films, not equally. I enjoy both of them a lot. Yes. I think comparing just leads to despairing. And we shouldn't do it.
I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying
you're literally saying it's better.
I prefer the emotional subtext that is not as prevalent in King Kong. Just saying. So, what else is there to say about Godzilla that we haven't said? I think we have an amazing cast. We have what's his name? Takashi Shimura. Is that it? Yes, I didn't even have to look that up. I knew it. I pulled it right out of my love for this man. But he's in this movie. You know, Akira Kurosawa is one of his golden boys who had been in Seven Samurai and Rashomon and Akira, amongst other things. But he's great. And Akira Takarada, who is in multiple Godzilla movies. It becomes a little confusing because a lot of these actors return and they're not necessarily reprising their characters, but sometimes they are. It's hard to keep track, but Serizawa is great. The eye patch, very sinister. It's actually a relatively effective human story. Not the most compelling, like not super compelling, but it works, and I think it gives it the emotional boost it needs. But how do we feel about the characters in this?
Great characters, great performances. I would also want to highlight the score of the film, the iconic score by Akira Ifukube. I always liked this score, but I don't think I really appreciated how amazing it is until I heard shades of it in Godzilla Minus One, the way that they interpret or insert it into that movie shows that it still works as a score in 2023. Extremely impressive.
Yeah, agreed. One of the best scores I think ever. It's fantastic. Anything else about Godzilla we want to say? We've got a few more to get through.
We need to get to the rankings. There's literally nothing else to say.
How many, I guess, how many on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, how many atomic bomb allegories would you give Godzilla?
I don't know.
Rad doesn't know. I'll give it a solid 4. I think it's great.
A solid 4. To me, the movie is so iconic. To give it anything under 5 whatevers would be odd to me.
It is a sin. I'll say I think it's feels a little dated, and some of the melodrama
it's dated because it's from the past, Sean.
You're absolutely right. I can't argue with that. But I think some of the melodrama is a little too melodramatic.
Melodrama is melodramatic.
It feels a little dated, and the melodrama is melodramatic. That's what you get when you come to Missing Frames. Some real hard-boiled cinematic dissection.
How dare this film be what it is? 4 stars.
Aaron, what is your rating for Godzilla?
Brad and I and the Holding Hands Club. This is a 5-star film. This is one of the most important movies ever made. You can take all the melodrama. Agreed. You can take all the effects that to this to eyes of today would not work, but they are essential to everything about it. It is a living, breathing personification of a healing wound. It is perfect.
All right, I'm upping it to 5.
Yeah, baby.
This is the first time.
Peer pressure.
Look, I mean, it's not just peer pressure, which I always succumb to, but it's really just the fact that like I'm in my Godzilla mode, and I think going through all these films and then just like you said, Aaron, thinking about it a little bit more and realizing like there really isn't like I can't think of many other Japanese films that so directly address it in such an effective way, other than kind of subtly and emotionally. This is very.
Is there a Godzilla film that's better than this one?
I think so, but we'll get down to get to that.
Okay.
And
Aaron, again, you. Let's not talk to Sean. Aaron, it's just you and me right now. Is there a better Godzilla film than this one?
No, this is it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to argue with that. Because I don't think there is. I think you're right. I think this is probably
now. You can say favorites if you want to use that cheap.
Yes,
language.
Agreed. I think 100% this Godzilla reigns supreme above all Godzillas. Yeah. Agreed. So let's talk about a Godzilla movie that does not reign supreme over any Godzillas, called Godzilla. What is it? Godzilla Raids Again? What is he raiding? Is he raiding Tokyo?
He's raiding again.
Yeah.
I still to this day call it Rides Again.
I like that better.
That'd be the best roller coaster ever. Put that up in a theme park.
I think of it as like a cowboy picture with Godzilla on a horse.
It made me think of
a cowboy hat.
A Godzilla Herbie crossover.
No, he's going out against Charles Barkley, his arch nemesis.
So Godzilla Raids Again rushed out due to the popularity of Godzilla. This was kind of rushed into production. I think released just about a year, if even that, after the first Godzilla. I don't think any of the creative team, maybe the special effects team, but I don't even think that was the case. It was a new director because Ishiro Honda was working on something else. They got Takashi Shimura back, but he, I think, feels a little dead inside coming back to this and having to say the line, "Oh no, we killed a different Godzilla. This isn't the same one. This is a new one."
Yeah.
Just by way of explanation as to why there's a sequel. It's great. One of the top explanations for something nonsensical in any film I've ever seen.
Jaws basically ripped it off.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well,
I guess it's also worth asking. Did you guys watch the sub or dub on this?
Sub. I've only seen the sub.
Yeah, well, because the dub is it's a wild trip. Like it's a fun one. Because these early ones, up until like I don't know, maybe like the three-headed monster, like they really are trying to alter it because I guess they just were not sure that Godzilla was going to be a thing. Because when this one came out, they didn't even it was not named Godzilla over here originally. It was
right,
Gigantus the fire monster or something. And
because they thought for some reason like
Godzilla was not going to catch on.
Brand recognition is not a thing. It's not a thing.
Yeah, and so when you watch, because I watched the only thing I watched back and forth between the sub and the dub just to kind of see what the difference was this beginning part of Godzilla Raids Again when they kind of, like you said, like the scientists come in and they're like, oh yeah, we this is a different Godzilla, we killed the original one, this is a new one, we're all good guys but we're still all gonna die, sort of thing. And the entire time when they're doing the dubbed version, they don't name the monster at all. I forget how. I honestly forget how they did, because it was just a little wild trip.
No one says Gigantus. Here comes Gigantus.
I don't think so. I think maybe they tried to name one of the dinosaurs like that, and that might have been how it came about. But it was.
Why did they even bother naming it Gigantus at all? They could have called him Godzilla and gotten just as many people to see it.
It makes no sense. Well, I mean, franchises weren't a thing back then. It was just like they had no clue. They felt like if they had, I guess, the more monsters, like why would you want to watch the same monster again? I think is like their idea. So if they have a different monster and he's got the name Fire in it, like that's gonna pull butts in seats.
I mean, I'd watch it.
Brad, definitely you would. But Godzilla Raids Again. It's interesting to watch in the context of the series. Like it's definitely not the one I would pick to watch ever, unless I'm going through like a rewatch of of the franchise. It feels very much like a film that was rushed in to capitalize on the success. There's some like fun stuff in it. Like it is cool to see what's his name? The other Kurosawa regular. Is it Minoru? Minoru? Am I saying that right? Chiaki as Kobayashi? I don't know if it's him. Oh, it is him. Yeah, he's also in Seven Samurai and Rashomon, worked with Kurosawa. So it's fun to see him in a not Kurosawa movie, but the movie itself is kind of forgettable, except it introduces and how do you say
Anguirus? And I love Anguirus, and I like, to me this movie is not Godzilla, and it's the one that I watched the least.
Oh yeah,
but I still had a good time with it.
It's not terrible.
The funniest thing is like you can tell they're trying to figure out what to do with a Godzilla movie, because like for the most part there's like just this kind of romantic love triangle thing going on with a goofy best friend. And then there's like a 15-minute detour of like some inmates escaping, and but also, sure. Yeah, it was fun. And then when it gets to the Godzilla versus Anguirus fight scenes, they do like I feel like I read somewhere that it was an accident, but the motions are sped up, and so it takes away all the energy away from what these would be big lumbering giant oafs of and it just looks like I don't know, Benny Hill.
The frame rate was accidentally slowed down, which ended up speeding up the footage.
Yeah.
So they just kept it in because they're like, we don't have the time or money to refilm any of this, and it is very strange to see it. But it also is like funny that they just kind of were like whatever, and then they sort of implement it in other films because again they're kind of paving the way for the entire kaiju genre and kind of like, well, what frame rate works best? Like if you want them to be like all powerful and lumbering and that kind of sense of terror as they approach, do we want the fight scenes to be more intense and faster paced? So
yeah, that's why I don't buy the whole like, oh, it was an accident. I can see a producer be like, no, you need to speed that up, baby.
I mean,
yeah, it's true. Yeah,
I love the menace of the first Godzilla and the performance of Godzilla. And if you look at like monster movies of its era, Godzilla is legit. Like the man in the suit is a legit effect. I think when you get to Godzilla Raids Again, that effect is not as strong, and we start to get some like hand puppet action in this movie as well, which I'm not opposed to. I'm not opposed to in theory, but like almost immediately you get the slip and slide into a more you know, like I don't want to say it's goofy quite
it's a little
yet.
it relegates it a little bit more to B movie.
Yeah, we're sliding into like almost immediately we're sliding into what Godzilla will ultimately be most known for a long time.
It's the worst version of the sequel where it's like the first one had like meaning and depth and it had like a sense of style and mise-en-scène, and there was a creative vision behind it, and then it's like this is the one where they wanted to make money and bank off the success of it, and like they kind of just eliminate the idea of Godzilla being, Godzilla's still the villain in this one, so there is the element of like, oh no, he's coming, but like the effect is a little diluted because it doesn't feel like they're adding anything to that conversation. And it really is the best thing it introduced was just the fact that, oh, he fights other monsters to the franchise.
Which that does take away from the metaphor of, the Godzilla versus the people, science versus man versus nature sort of thing. But when you pit those two giant, kaiju against each other, I feel like the best way, and which they would eventually get to, the two different methods you need to steer into are more the genre-y styles of either going full comedy or going full horror. And that's what they would eventually get into with Showa, which they would push into the more comedic and sillier moments, and then the Heisei era and Millennium era would start to veer more into the horror elements. And I think that's the right approach. But taking this and just kind of like just saying, here's Godzilla again, here's another monster again, it doesn't work.
It's weird that it kind of kicks the door open for the possibilities of the franchise and what it would become, but at the same time, that's all it really does. Like it's like an experimental film in that way. It's like, well, I guess these are movies where monsters fight each other now. So,
and it reduces the significance of humanity, like in a lot more ways than one. Like as far as like narrative excitement, but also just it elevates these creatures to beings that tower above us and reduce our importance in the grand scale of things.
Yeah, we're just there to run and scream, and that's about it. It's something that the Godzilla franchise historically struggles with throughout almost every entry. There is a struggle to find like a meaningful thing for the human characters to contribute to the story, and some succeed better than others. But yeah, I don't have much else to add about Godzilla Rides Again, as we're now calling it. How many rides would you rate Godzilla Raids Again on a scale from 1 to 5, Aaron?
2 horsey rides.
And Brad?
I give it 3. Okay. To me, it's still a good time. It's still a good time.
Okay. I'll give it 2. With the caveat that I think it's worth watching maybe once and not necessarily over and over again.
I think if you got the box set, you gotta watch it. And you gotta watch it in order every time.
Agreed. So moving on, this is crazy. I didn't realize this, but it would be 7 years until the next Godzilla movie would come out. Like, that's insane. I don't know. Again, we're so used to, like, with Marvel and Star Wars, we've got 5 TV shows, 5 movies in a year. And this was like, it's really popular, but you know what? We'll just stop making them for a while. Which is a trend that does continue in this franchise. Although
I think I think that mainly kind of came about because, again, we weren't used to franchises as sequeling, and you saw it even with the American producers, how they were like, oh, we just got to name this guy something different. So they went off and they're like, let's create different monsters. So within that time between Raids Again and King Kong versus Godzilla, we got Mothra and we got Rodan, and other studios were putting out like Gamera and other stuff like that. So we had other things coming at us. But we knew who the king was.
Right, exactly. So that's true. That's a good point. And I haven't seen those. I haven't seen Mothra.
Mothra's so good.
Oh, Mothra's legit.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So the next Godzilla we got, when I was younger, or I was actually kind of surprised when I got the Showa set, the Criterion set, that King Kong vs. Godzilla was the third one, because for some reason I thought that was like, oh, that's down the line probably. Yeah. Like it's kind of like, Frankenstein meets the Harlem Globetrotters or something.
It feels like a desperate move. It feels like something that like you're like, yes. You bring the kid, the new baby in the 7th season of the sitcom in order to spice up the comedy parts.
So I was kind of surprised. And not only that, as I mentioned before, I was shocked to learn that the original Godzilla's creative team returned to make this one, which is definitely, I think it's a better movie than Godzilla Raids Again, but it's not remotely serious. And Godzilla Raids Again is arguably more serious than this film. So I think that was shocking as well, the jarring tonal shift. But this was actually for a while the only Godzilla movie I owned on video. So I had of course the American version. That was the only one available, and I was very upset that in that version King Kong wins at the end, I think is what's implied. And I was like, how did he win? Godzilla, they fought in the ocean. Godzilla lives in the ocean.
Well, the story outline idea originates with Willis O'Brien, the stop motion animator behind King Kong. And eventually the outline gets to the Toho producers. And I find that fascinating. So like, not only does, the original Godzilla team come in, but you have this semi stamp of approval from the King Kong franchise too.
Which, considering the way King Kong looks in this movie, is shocking.
Well, I mean, eventually Willis O'Brien had nothing to do with it.
Yes, true. But also, wasn't this like supposed to be King Kong versus Frankenstein at first?
Yeah.
And there's some stuff that doesn't, like, they clearly like did like a search and replace, and certain characteristics of Godzilla still kind of feel.
Listen, I wouldn't. All right, so this one does kind of lead into Ebirah Horror of the Deep later on. But if anybody goes onto my letterbox and reads my review, I went into way too deep of a rabbit hole on that movie, and it was scary. And I go into full in-depth detail as to how we got all the way from 1930 Marion C. Cooper idea. And maybe we'll talk about it when we get to Ebirah. I don't know. All the way up, and it affects this movie, and it affects all the way up to Ebirah, and it's a wild ride. There is, again, another reason to love this franchise, because of the absolute wildness moves that it takes for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. So this was basically like a zany kind of like satire on television and advertising, and like there's like a pharmaceutical company that's upset because they don't have exciting TV shows that are getting good ratings. So I guess I don't know. I barely followed this movie, and it's
got everything. It's got like I don't know, sleepy berries, and it's got like a indestructible string or something, and
right.
I don't know. It's
a giant octopus.
Yeah,
a real octopus.
And this is where lightning, it builds up the strength of King Kong, and somehow now affects Godzilla, and the strength, the kryptonite is just all over the place. It's a wild one.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No,
And
nothing does.
my most recent watch was the American version. I watched the Japanese version a few years ago when I got this set, which is definitely, I mean, undoubtedly better than the American version. But I thought this latest viewing, I was like, well, let me check it out, because I remember being obsessed with it as a kid. And it's pretty bad. The American version is pretty bad. The dubbing is awful, and it's they also, one of their favorite things is to just intercut like American reporters who explain what's happening, and then they cut out all the fun and interesting stuff from the Japanese version, so it just becomes kind of, very much like, oh, it's just King Kong fighting Godzilla, and that's it. Whereas the Japanese version at least has some kind of commentary on commercialism and the idea of television and just the corruption of that business. It's
also
there.
The American guy pronounces reptile really weird, or maybe it might be the Japanese guy.
One of my favorite
he says reptile, and that just creeps me out.
One of the best things about this franchise is the American actors.
Yeah.
Every single American actor in a Japanese Godzilla, almost everyone. I think Nick Adams, coming up in Invasion of Astro-Monster, is maybe the only exception. But most like American side characters or like throwaway characters are like the worst actors on the planet. I think maybe there's just a disconnect with, the Japanese language versus English language. And maybe, the Japanese director's not recognizing how stilted the line readings are from the American actors, but it's like notoriously bad in almost every one of these movies. And I love it. I love it so much. But the Japanese version, I think, has a little bit more with like the submarine that accidentally reawakens Godzilla. I don't remember that being as much in the American version.
No, I think that it gets like, it's in the like that first scene, and then it just like disappears. It's done.
Right, exactly. So there's a lot of that top-notch American acting in the Japanese version that I love so much. But does it feel like a worthy, like, all right, King Kong versus Godzilla? Like, does it at least have that going for it? Brad, yes?
No, it does not.
Why do you say that, Brad?
I mean, to me, you want like Freddy versus Jason, you want Alien versus Predator, and
then we get it.
And then you get it exactly. It's
two films which we have reviewed on the franchise.
Unfortunately.
And you get Alien versus Predator, and we all know that I love Alien versus Predator. Okay, but like when you get Alien versus Predator, it's just not as good as it is in your imagination.
No.
And this is just not as good as it is in your imagination. And I don't want to jump eras, but I do think that the Legendary Entertainment one, the Monarch one, the Monsterverse one, has a lot more joy and execution of that childhood fantasy.
Yes, I agree with that.
This
for
one
sure.
does, but it wasn't really a childhood fantasy here. I mean, it was more like a passing of the torch, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
But
unless you're watching the American version, because again, Godzilla loses the fight in the American version. I think.
Yeah. Well,
I think so.
I mean, one's king. One's king.
But yeah, I agree with you. It feels, again, it baffles me that it was made 7 years after, but like it is kind of like, in many ways, feels a little more refined than Godzilla Raids Again, but also
it definitely does. I think Honda has a lot to do with that.
Yes,
and,
agreed.
There's still some fun to be had. Yeah, it is goofy, a little bit racist in different parts, and then the end part is we get a nice like WWE throwdown, which is
that is fun.
It does it starts to lean into like, oh, what are we going to be? And I think they're finally starting to be like, okay, this kind of works. They're not fully there. But you can tell like the seeds of like something.
You have to love Kong shoving a tree into Godzilla's mouth.
Yeah,
it makes for a great gift.
Yeah,
it does. It's a historic cinematic moment that's been immortalized in GIF form for sure. plenty of gifable moments in this franchise.
Yes.
But yeah,
Sure.
I agree. I think it's more throwaway than a movie about King Kong and Godzilla fighting should be. And I agree completely, Brad, that the latest version of this fight, this showdown, is much more effective and much more fulfilling to watch and much more fun.
What's the best versus movie?
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
No.
X versus Sever.
X versus Sever.
It
might be King Kong versus Godzilla.
Maybe it is the new one. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Civil War. Does Civil War count? The Avengers or Captain America?
No. Every Marvel movie, Civil War.
That's true.
Fair. Yeah, I guess anything that is like specifically like these two
one franchise from another franchise.
Yeah.
It's got to be specific.
We'll
get back to you next episode with that.
Brad, but you would put your neck out for Batman v Superman, wouldn't you? just making sure our audience knows where Brad sits here.
I don't think that counts either, but yes. I would.
All right. So King Kong versus Godzilla.
The Snyder Bros.
King Kong versus Godzilla. How many Snyder Bros would you give King Kong versus Godzilla?
Man, no.
How many palm trees in Godzilla's mouth would you give this film, Aaron?
I'll give it 3.
Okay, Brad.
2.5.
I'll give it 2.5. The Japanese version. The American version is 1 star.
So, Brad, just for record, raids again over King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, I'm taking notes over here.
Because of the childhood fantasy.
I hear you. I hear you.
Okay,
Fair
all
enough.
right. I hear
enough.
you. No, I'm not. There's no. I'm not casting any ill will. I'm just taking notes.
Ghidorah is better than King Kong. Okay.
Yes, agreed. This version,
yeah. He looks like he's just wearing a really bad sweater vest in this one.
Yes. I love there are a few things funnier than when like the actor playing King Kong like waves his arms in the air. It's just like that's a man in a suit.
He's got some goofy ass eyeballs, I tell you that.
Yes. So the next film is, I think, really, this is what kicks off the Showa era in full speed. From this point on, there are no longer 7-year waits. We are just going strong for a good chunk of time through the rest of the Showa era. And that is Mothra versus Godzilla, which also really is when I think they hit their stride as far as this format. Monsters fighting each other and the fun and zany elements of the surrounding story, the framework of the human story surrounding it. First time I saw this, I remember being really taken aback because I knew people really loved this one, but I was not expecting like, what are these like miniature twins and why are they
good?
Like what, it really
that song is a box.
It is. I agree.
Put it in my ears.
It threw me off the first time I saw it because I if you're not familiar with Mothra and you're thinking like, oh, Godzilla, it's just gonna fight some giant monster and destroy some cities, going into this, it's like, wait a second, what's happening? Why are they singing? Why are they tiny? What is going on? Why are there caterpillar versions of Mothra? But now I would say this is one of the better entries in the Showa era and the franchise. But Aaron, how do you feel about this one?
Finally a movie that says kaijus be damned. The real villain of the story is capitalism. We get the wonderful mustachioed venture capitalist that's trying to make some money off this giant egg, and I am here for it. There's like
Mothra says, "Eat the rich."
Yeah, right. Yes. Eat the rich, indeed. But it's funny because like it definitely it was odd when they first show Godzilla. I'm trying to think how far into the movie he shows up. But when he does finally show up, he's like this like proto-Urkel like goofball where he literally starts like just running into things. He's knocking over towers and Kubotas, and you're just like, what is going on here? But they're really kind of like steering into this just goofball that just is kind of sort of wrecking your town.
Yes.
That maybe there's no ill will. I don't know. Maybe he's
he's just a
just
like
a little
animal
he's a little
unleashed.
sleepy boy is all he is,
Drinking too much seawater.
Yeah.
Mothra is definitely like she's the queenly, sophisticated, like god that protects us and forgives us despite despite humanity's great sins.
Yep.
She's like, you know what? We have to work together, and it's sweet. And Godzilla is just like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
like,
and I do think that he tries to take it back to a sort of a metaphor, kind of place, because we have Godzilla, who is the creation of man, and you have Mothra, who's like this Mother Nature sort of character, and so you kind of have something right there they're trying to to put into play, and I love their fight. And I love the little Mothra grubs. I could watch them all day. Them just like wheeling around on their little gushy little bodies. They're great.
It is great.
The fight is so good.
Yes.
It's so good.
It's the first time you can really say that in this franchise, where it's like, oh, this is the kaiju fight you've been waiting for for 3 movies.
And the way that it does build off of Mothra, like Shawn, you have to watch Mothra.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it does feel like
so good.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
That's it.
That's it. That's what the end of the Mothra talk. Something else I wanted to say. So this is the last Godzilla movie of the Showa era where Godzilla is a villain, like just a straightforward villain. So I want to point out, like I talked a little bit about Ishiro Honda directs a lot of these, and a lot of them are very silly, to the point where it's like, are we sure this is the same Ishiro Honda who made the first film? And that was a Toho mandate. He was very upset, like always very cordial about his relationship with Toho, but he made it very clear he was not a fan of the like happy-go-lucky, like friend to humanity version of Godzilla. He, like I think the three of us, was feeling like, I didn't create this guy to just be like fun and zany. He's supposed to be a metaphor for the terror of the atom bomb, but he was game, and he directed the hell out of this and some other movies.
The thing is like, I'm not mad about it when Godzilla becomes, after this one, a little bit of a protector.
Yeah.
And,
and that's something, skipping ahead, but I, in the 2014 film, that was kind of a fast one pulled on us, and I enjoyed that addition to that film, that it was, heroic Godzilla, not destructive Godzilla. So yes, I'm a fan. And, what else? Anything else about Mothra we want to say?
I've got a pop quiz question for you two.
Oh, okay.
So AIP were the ones that distributed this one to America, and in all their inventiveness, they decided not to call Mothra Mothra. So it was Godzilla versus blank. What did they call Mothra in the States?
Mama.
No. Good guess. Good guess.
Butterfly thing.
Ooh, close. The Thing.
Just The Thing.
Godzilla versus The Thing.
What? Well, I don't understand. Like, it's like, if you're gonna rename it,
just go for something wild.
Mothra is, there. I think by this point, The Thing, the original Thing, existed. So maybe they were hoping to bank off that success or that recognition.
I think there's like some studio suit who's just like, look, moths aren't scary.
Yes, 100%. 100% is what somebody say. Absolutely.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Brad, what do you give Mothra versus Godzilla? How many Mothra grubs do you give this film?
I think it's great. I give it 4 Mothra grubs.
Aaron, how about you?
I'm on the fence of a 3.5 and a 4, but I'm going to go 3.5.
I'm going to say 3.5 as well. Moving on to, again, this is kind of the 1-2 punch of this Showa era. We get from Mothra to Ghidorah, the 3-headed monster, and another iconic monster. What's up?
Ghidorah?
That's a hard O there.
Ghidorah. That's how you say it. Ghidorah.
I always said Ghidorah.
Ghidorah. I mean, maybe Ghidorah is probably the Japanese way to say it.
Ghidorah is probably the Brad's 8-year-old. And he's been saying it one way his whole life.
I think we can agree to agree on this one. I think we're both right. And the point is that this movie is pretty badass, and Ghidorah, however you want to say it, is a fantastic monster. And I love that you can see the the creative special effects team working overtime. Every time Ghidorah comes into a shot, you can see every one of those strings going crazy to make that monster come to life. And I love every second of it. Aaron, how do you feel about this film?
I like it quite a bit. It's the first like true. This is the Civil War, or at least the first Marvel Civil War of of the Godzilla franchise. And it shows even when Mothra is not in his winged state, whatever Mothra is, they are a complete badass. And you know who's not? Rodan. Rodan's overrated AF. He can go suck it.
Whoa.
What does he do?
Anti-Rodan.
I'm doing it. I'm throwing him down. Rodan's he can.
I like Rodan's design.
I like Rodan fine, but definitely not my favorite design of the monsters.
If we're gonna pit Rodan against Mothra, Rodan's going down every time. Yeah. But I still like Rodan. I still have an action figure.
Yeah.
What don't you have an action figure of? That's the question. But
that's a good point.
To me, this is on par, I think, with Mothra. I might enjoy this one a tiny bit more. This is also the first one where Godzilla is not really like overtly heroic, but like at the end, Mothra convinces Godzilla and Rodan to.
Yeah, she's got to tell her two dumb friends to come together, and she's the mastermind behind all this.
We're getting there. Yeah.
She's the MVP of the film.
Absolutely.
For sure.
But Ghidorah as a design, though, like you were saying, Sean, is like an all-timer.
Yes.
It's an astonishing thing to witness, and it only gets better.
Yes. And I also like this is I feel the James Bond influence in this one, because isn't this like the first one where there's like the heroes of the story, or the human heroes of the story, are basically like spies. Like there's like not a spy, but there's a shootouts in this movie.
Yeah, because there's the lady from. Is this the one with Lady from Venus?
Yes, she's from Venus.
Yeah. And then there's also, the guys that are after her. Yeah.
And isn't she the actress who ends up in You Only Live Twice?
Oh, is she? I don't know.
Yeah, Akiko Wakabayashi.
Really?
That's how I'm gonna say. Yeah, she is the Bond girl.
Oh,
Aki,
fantastic!
And You Only Live Twice. So that's funny, because this movie is very much the Godzilla movies around this time start to try to compete with Bond in like on the human level, where it's like there's always a shootout and there's always something crazy happening with those guys. Like it doesn't really reflect anything that's come before, but I will take it.
I mean, it's super 60s, right?
Yeah,
we're like it's mod time.
Because up to this point, it's been like, oh, it's reporters and like photographers and people who are just on the ground level trying to understand what's going on. And this, like, they're trying to understand what's going on, but they also like shooting each other. So I'm into it. I like it.
Yeah.
1964, the same year Goldfinger came out. So yeah, again, steal from the best. So I don't have anything else to say about this because I can't remember much else. I do remember the queen, the Venus princess jumping out of a plane, which I thought was funny.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do think it's also important, like just like how science fictiony we're starting to become.
Yes, that's a good point. This is where we're starting, because Ghidorah is like, oh, we don't, like, it's from outer space. It's a monster from out. It's a meteor that comes from outer space. So now we're getting into sci-fi again. Kind of crazy that Ishiro Honda directed all of these. Again, he was not a big fan of the direction they were taking, but he is he's into it. It's very, very interesting because like I don't know. I think in many cases with directors, you're like, oh, this director is above doing something. Like, okay, maybe this is not the best example considering the two people I'm about to name drop. But when it comes to Bryan Singer X-Men and Brett Ratner X-Men, there's a big difference. And there's a significant drop in quality from X-Men 2 versus X-Men: The Last Stand. But
I don't know, man. Have you gone back and rewatched those?
I haven't, because I'm.
Is it that big of a drop? I mean, I'll say that there might be a little bit of a drop. I don't think it's that big.
I despise X-Men: The Last Stand, and I
think
enjoy X-Men
Kelsey
2.
Grammer's Beast's a lot of fun.
Oh, he is, yeah. I enjoy X2 a lot. That's neither here nor there, but I think a lot of times you can pinpoint the change in tone is because they switched the director, or it's not. But what's interesting about this is that Shiro Honda is completely committed to every version of the character that we're seeing, and as they get more outlandish, even though he was not a fan of it, he's still doing it. He's still making it happen and churning out some enjoyable entries in the franchise. So I think this is one of the better ones of the Showa era. How many of Ghidorah's heads would we give this? There are only 3. I don't know if that means 3 is the highest we can give it. But, Aaron, I guess yes, with 3 counting as 5.
Oh man, case. Now I'm confused.
Mathematically, let's just do 5. How many of Ghidorah heads? There can be 5 on a scale from 1 to 5.
Well, being a true Ghidorah completist and originist, 3 heads, 3 stars.
Great.
For the 3-headed monster.
Brad, how about you?
I'll give it 3.5 just to be more positive than Aaron.
I think I'll give it 3.5. I don't even know what some of these I ranked on or rated on.
Oh, I'm looking and I'm judging. Yeah, I'm looking. And I know you judging.
Are. I just am putting that out there because I know you both are going to judge me for it. So we have the sequel, Invasion of Astro-Monster, and again, these are I think these are both in the same year. No.
The last 2 were 64. This one's a 65.
Okay,
I watched this one first.
Yeah, you mean for this
originally
or original?
This was probably the one I watched.
I saw this first. Yeah, and I watched it all the time once I got a hold of it.
Yeah, it is a wacky movie. This is the one where what are the aliens? The Xiliens?
The Xiliens, yeah,
or Xaliens. Yes. So we are full sci-fi at this point, where we are going to outer space, and they need our monsters to defeat Monster Zero. Is that what they call it?
And it's set in the year 1960X.
Yes, the future. Yes, the not too distant future. So all kinds of crazy stuff going on at this point.
Like the movie comes out. What is it? 65.
Yeah.
And so the furthest this movie could be in the future is 4 years.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe at this point X is.
I think he's just kind of giving it it's an alt universe.
It's whatever year you want it to be, ultimately. Whatever year within the 60s you want it to be. So this is definitely at this point Godzilla is a little more goofy, a little more just silly, but we also get the iconic jumping celebration in this one, which is great. We also get the maybe arguably the only quality actor of the Japanese films, the quality American actor, Nick Adams, who is into it. He's game. I love his energy. I love that he is speaking English and dubbed in Japanese, which is great. And that on the set, because he spoke no Japanese, he just spoke his lines in English, and they just went with it. It's kind of like
spaghetti westerns.
Spaghetti westerns. So I'm into Nick Adams in this movie. It makes me very, very happy because, again, the other American performances in the Japanese films are so bad. And I love that he's having a great time, because this movie is completely ridiculous. And he does not seem like, oh, I'm an American actor, I am a real actor, and I don't have time for this. He is right there with them, and it's fun. Ridiculous concept. The Xiliens need Godzilla and Rodan to defeat Monster Zero, King Ghidorah, and in exchange for this, they will give planet Earth the cure for cancer. And then they do a double take, and they're like, haha, actually we lied to you. And then there's another semi love story where the woman is like, I love you, I was supposed to kill you, but I've fallen in love with you, and love is forbidden on planet X. And she gets killed because she falls in love. That's basically what we're working with this film. That's it. That's really all there is to say about it. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say about it?
I mean, if you like Nick Adams, Sean, you should check out Frankenstein Conquers the World, which he did before this one.
Okay.
It's another really strange kaiju film, not related to Godzilla. worth seeking out.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I will definitely do that because I think you know what, if you're gonna be in, it's like a Shiro Honda. If you're gonna do it, just commit to it, make it as good as you can possibly do, and it's more fun to watch when people are actually into the crazy wackiness going on. So, yeah, this is kind of like it's fun. I don't enjoy it as much as the previous two. It's not my favorite, but it's still fun to watch. And again, maybe the greatest Godzilla gif of all time, the jumping.
Yeah, I think so.
For
Sliding on the tail could be. But anyways.
Yeah.
There's so many to pick.
Yes.
It's hard. It's hard.
For me, I really like this one. This is like peak 60s sci-fi. Like if you were to go tell Chat GPT to make me a 60s science fiction retro movie, blah 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 blah, this is what it would spit out. It would spit out these a Planet X that numbers everything. It would spit out Glenn and Fuji. Oh man, just the best names ever. It would spit out those amazing black and silver outfits with the black visors that do absolutely nothing. It would, just I love that the plot really hinges around the aliens first just being nice enough to ask permission to get Godzilla and and Rodan to who is it? Godzilla and Rodan.
Rodan
to come back. Like they could have just taken them and then microchipped them and then sent them back to us and then taken over a planet. But they asked first, and I feel like that's very nice. But
they wanted the audience to go on an emotional roller coaster of a journey.
No, I understand. I understand. And I was right there with them. But like it's just great. A hidden planet behind Jupiter. Just the model work is fantastic. Just like it's a time where you start to, like, this is where the Godzilla movies budgets start to dip, and you really see the ingenuity start to take full force of like trying everything they can to still make stuff look bigger and brighter and better, and with what they had. And I agree with you. I do like Glenn and Fuji, even if Fuji is way too involved with his sister's love life, and Glenn is the sassiest little bastard you've ever met. When he says words like "hill of beans" and pronounces robots instead of robots. Like there's a whole bunch of just really zany things in here, but I'm all for it. This is quality sci-fi Godzilla that I love.
I gotta echo everything that Aaron said. I like, to me, the era, the monsters, the science fiction, the weirdness, the production design, the costume design, like it's all working. And I like, honestly, it's probably my favorite after Godzilla of the films that we've talked about so far.
Showa era. Or not the Showa era,
of these episodes on this episode.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Of these movies on this episode. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever. This is going to get so confusing. We're not going to keep track of any of this. So you can say whatever and I'll forget because it's too hard to remember. But how many, Brad, since you love it so much, how many would you give it? How many Nick Adams would you give it?
I'd
give it 4 Nick Adams.
Okay. Aaron, how about you?
You go, boy. I'm going 3.5 Nick Adamses.
I will go 3 Nick Adams, which brings us to our one of our, Godzilla is a franchise that likes to keep its audience on its toes, creatively in the directions it goes. I think, jumping from the first Godzilla to King Kong versus Godzilla, you got a dramatic tonal shift, and Yoshiro Honda did not come back for this one. So we have yet another creative tonal shift that is it's like maybe off-putting at first, but I kind of got into it by the end. And this is Ebirah horror of the deep. Did I say that one right, guys? Ebirah?
I don't
think
so.
That sounds fine. What are you saying?
What I say Ebirah.
Oh, I kind of say that too.
Okay, well, we can say Ebirah.
Okay.
Ebirah.
I mean, again, we're all
wrong. Just so we're clear, we're all wrong. How wrong are each of
So
us?
as long as we can agree that we're all wrong, we're in a good place.
Yeah.
But this is a wacky movie. This is as far, the budget is cut even more. They relegate the events of the film to an island so they don't have to destroy any giant model cities.
Yeah. But Shawn,
and
as wacky and wild as this one is, I have to reiterate the story behind it is a
yes,
granddaddy whopper of a story.
please
Should
share
I try to break this down?
Break it down to the best of your
Okay,
ability.
everybody, just kick back your feet and take a nap just for like 5 minutes because it is.
I'm hitting mute. See ya.
All right, go get those crumble cookies right now. Okay, so the movie originally started off as a Rankin Bass Toho co-production of a King Kong movie titled Operation Robinson Crusoe: King Kong versus Ebirah. Okay, and eventually becomes the Godzilla film we know today. We have to travel all the way back to the 1930s. Marion C. Cooper is creating King Kong. It's his own original idea, and he comes up with it, and he's like, okay, I've got this idea. I'm going to go to RKO. They decide they're going to go to a novelist first named Edgar Wallace. They're going to write the novel of King Kong, a movie about the novel by Edgar Wallace. King Kong, that's how they'll promote it. So who gets the rights to those things? It was supposed to be that Marion C. Cooper would have the rights to the movie as well as any sequels going out. But the movie becomes an icon, a cultural hit, and we go to the 1950s. Okay, Willis O'Brien, who was the effects maestro on King Kong, he has written a new script called King Kong versus Frankenstein. He goes to RKO, assuming they have the rights to King Kong. RKO passes, and they say, "Hey, go over to John Beck, a producer, who gets turned down by everybody in Hollywood." So he eventually goes to Japan, and they're like, "Hey, we love this. Give us a 5-year contract to use Kong." So pretty much they're like, we don't really want the script. We just want Kong. So Toho substitutes Frankenstein for their newly minted monster at that time of Godzilla. So that movie becomes King Kong versus Godzilla. It gets written by Shinichi Sekizawa. King Kong versus Godzilla is a massive hit. And so they immediately go to get a sequel written. And so that was going to be the next movie. That gets stopped in its tracks. Why does it get stopped? This is my own theory as to why it gets stopped, because Marion C. Cooper, when King Kong versus Godzilla came back to the States, Marion C. Cooper was like, "Whoa, that's my monkey. Get your paws off my monkey." And he sues RKO, Universal, and John Beck, because of a breach of contract. The court decides that Marion C. Cooper only had rights to the novel that he wrote with Edgar Wallace, but all the movie stuff belongs to RKO. And so that got pushed to the side. So RKO's like, "Oh, cool. Now that we have definitive monkey business with King Kong, let's start making some more King Kong stuff." So one of the places they reached out to was Rankin Bass, who are the infamous holiday stop motion profiteers. Rankin and Bass would start in 1960 in New York, but they would exclusively contract all of their animation out to Japan. Well, they got wind of King Kong. They met up with Toho. So they started what was going to be called the King Kong Show, which was an animated show that ran from 66 to 69. So Rankin and Bass teamed up with Toho. They said, "Hey, we're putting out this new animated show. How about we do a King Kong movie together? We'll do King Kong versus Ebirah." First off, it was said that Rankin Bass wanted Ishiro Honda on the job, but Ishiro Honda had moved on to War of the Gargantuas, which was a much higher budget because they were trying, some new monsters out. And Toho was dead set on using Jun Fukuda, who was a less experienced protege of Ishiro Honda, but he had just done a Bond movie. And like Shawn was saying, this has a lot of Bond elements, secret, hidden island, supervillain type of stuff. And so he had just done a Bond spoof. And so he's already got all those sets, everything ready to go. And so because they wanted the director and the script wasn't looking like their TV show, Rankin and Bass pulls out. But for anybody that's in the know, they come back a year later and they make King Kong Escapes, which is a Rankin Bass production with Ishiro Honda directing. So everybody, wins in the end. But Toho still likes the script that Sekizawa made with Ebirah, and effectively did a search and replace for the word King Kong for Godzilla. And you can see it easily when you watch Ebirah Heart of the Deep. Godzilla is asleep inside a cave or a mountain at the beginning, and he is woken by lightning. Okay, and I don't know if you remember back in King Kong versus Godzilla, which used to be the King Kong versus Frankenstein script. Those powers kind of got switched. So does it make sense? No, it just makes sense that they completely switched up the script, because that was supposed to be King Kong awakening to lightning. And then the second thing is, the entire time we've known Godzilla, he hasn't cared one thing about a human. He has stomped on him, destroyed him, smashed him, everything to him. But in this one, he stops and has a very Fay Ray moment with the young woman named Dio. It blows my mind that they just completely, you can see King Kong in those moments, and it's this wonderful just mashup of so many kaiju and monsters that have been going on since 1930s, only to give us this mediocre of a movie, and it's great. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That was all news to me.
Yeah, I read, this is in your Letterboxd review of the film, and it's all fascinating because it's true, and it's also funny to me that there's never they never update the behaviors of the characters or say like, oh, Godzilla wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
When King Kong, we had King Kong in there, that makes sense, but not anymore. They just leave it. They're like, no, maybe Godzilla does like this girl more than the other ones he's murdered in countless Godzilla movies.
Yeah, it was just funny because I was like watching the movie before I even looked up any behind the scenes stuff or looked at any articles on it and stuff like that. And when I was watching, I was like, oh, it has a really like Bond sort of feel, it had, kind of James Bond adjacent sort of stuff when they're trying to sneak into the secret
and
hidden,
even down to the music. It's very 60s.
Yeah. And the evil guy's name, or the Red Bamboo, which, they're obviously trying to have some Chinese nationalist sort of, statements going on as well. So there's just so much that, just makes for me, a completely adequate movie, but just the process of getting there is beautiful.
Yes, I think the process of getting there is more exciting than the movie itself. But the movie does have a certain amount of charm just because I feel like Toho's direction was like, we got to make something for the kids. We got to get the teens into the theater. So there's like lots of like surf music and electric guitar.
There's a dance competition.
There's a dance competition, like all sorts of stuff where it feels like that seems to be the overriding direction of the film, is make something that will appeal to the youths. It's a weird mashup. I enjoyed the fight Godzilla has with Ebirah. I like Godzilla pulling off Ebirah's claws. That's pretty badass. Yeah. The movie itself is like fine. It's a weird, zany Godzilla movie that feels creatively bonkers compared to, there's been a lot of bonkers stuff, but even this feels like, where did all of this come from?
Came from King Kong.
Don't dislike it completely, but it's a weird one.
Yeah.
Brad, how do you feel?
It's a downgrade. I agree that the fight is great, and I think Ebirah is a cool creature. But I even like the dance competition stuff. Like maybe I could have used more of that.
There should have, maybe Godzilla and Ebirah should have had
the energy of Astro-Monster just disappears.
Yeah,
in this one,
and part of that I think might be Jun Fukuda, I think, is the director who took over, and he did, I think, the next couple.
Yeah, I think so.
I know he did Son of Godzilla. He didn't do. Honda came back for Destroy All Monsters, but I think he might have done one or two more after this. And it's a different style, and I know he's been pretty critical about these films. I think maybe overtly critical, honestly, because they. Well, no,
he supposedly did not like any of his kaiju movies at all.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because I think I think Gigan and Megalon are kind of fun. This one is weird, but I think there is kind of a fun in the weirdness. But it does feel it's definitely a step down from Honda and maybe a little bit more workmanlike, a little bit more. We got to turn this out, and I think the budget being cut definitely doesn't help.
Yeah, I think that's
the seams are starting to show.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of it. I think them, there was definitely show notes that said, "Hey, we're sticking Godzilla on an island, deal with it," sort of thing. And I think he does the best with what he does. I think the characters are kind of fun. They're super goofy. I mean, the one guy gets caught up in a weather balloon, and that's how he finds his brother. He literally sails across the ocean to find his supposedly dead brother, who's been shipwrecked somewhere, and he just happens to find him that way by floating to him magically.
Right.
And there's I feel like it has a lot in common with King Kong versus Godzilla, where it's trying to take those steps. But I agree with Brad. It's taking steps back from where Invasion and King Ghidorah were going. And so it does feel, one step forward, two steps back for Godzilla.
Yeah, it's definitely underwhelming compared to those. But not awful.
No.
Not bad even.
No.
It's okay. I guess how many dance competitions would you give Ghidorah Horror of the Deep? Brad, how many would you give it?
3.
Okay.
3.
Aaron?
Holding Hands Club, 3 dance competitions.
I'll say 2.5.
I won't fight you.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, this is the final Godzilla film of this episode. We've made it. I actually am shocked we've made it in under 2 hours. Let's maybe Son of Godzilla will push us over the edge.
Should we keep going?
Oh my God, no, Brad! Don't kill, please. Just of my body.
Let's do the whole era.
So much Godzilla, so little time. Son of Godzilla, also directed by Jun Fukuda. Yes, this is where we meet Manila, who is I believe a fan favorite. Everyone loves Manila, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Adoption's important.
Yes,
it's an important story.
That's the subtext of that's the message of the film. It's either that or that, like,
I think the subtext is not all babies are cute. Like
being a single
some are
dad
just
sucks.
butt ugly.
I like the idea that not all babies are cute.
Yeah.
No babies are cute from this dude with no children. They all look like Manila.
This might be. This ranks pretty low for me. I don't like Son of Godzilla. I think some of the stuff is funny with Godzilla trying to train Manila. Manila is insufferable. I don't remember much about this. I know there are like giant praying mantises in this.
They're called Gimantises.
Gimantises. Thank you so much for correcting that, Aaron. But
I actually think they actually have. I think they gave them an actual like kaiju name. I'll try to find that. But I think in the script,
Gigantus is my favorite.
Yeah, right. They said it's a giant praying mantis, and he goes. The reporter said Gimantis or something like that. Oh, only a reporter could come up with that name.
I love that Toho. It says Toho wanted to create a baby Godzilla to appeal to the date crowd with the idea that girls would like a cute baby monster.
Heck yeah, man!
There you go.
Chicks love Manila.
They love Manila. That's right. I don't like this movie. This is probably the first Godzilla movie that we've gotten to at this point that I could say I don't like the American version of King Kong versus Godzilla, but I don't really count that. So I would say this is probably the first one we've gotten to that I outright don't like.
I'm not opposed to the concept of Manila. I'm not against it. I just think this movie's boring.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I think that's the biggest crime of a kaiju film. If it's boring, it's like almost worse than if it's just outright terrible. And I think that for me, you combine Manila and just like how insufferable he is with the fact that it's just kind of like, all right, let's get on with it, and nothing really happening, and it's just sort of like. I do like Godzilla stepping on Manila's tail though to get him to actually use his his Adam breath.
Oh man,
discipline.
I read somewhere that they had to cut quite a bit more out because there's supposedly a cut where like he's way more abusive to Manila, which I find hilarious. I would love to see that cut.
Release the abused Manila cut. I want to see this. I think there would be it would be oddly satisfying because Manila is such a brat.
Yeah,
and
it's funny because it's it completely personifies everything that fatherhood is, and I love it.
Yes, I agree. So yeah, that's. I think that's what it brings to the table, thematically for sure. I don't have anything nice to say about Son of Godzilla other than what you said, Aaron. How many Manila tails being stepped on would you give Son of Godzilla, Aaron?
Well, I would give more if it's stepping on his tails, but I'm gonna provide 2 for the day.
Okay, Brad, how about you?
2. Yes, gotta go 2.
This is a 1 for me. This is
1.
Yeah,
Yikes.
I know.
Man.
And also like they're all fun to like. It's fun to do a watch of all of them. Of
Manila's
course,
like
complete the story,
like
everyone,
radioactive smoke rings and stuff. You gotta give them
it's cute.
Son of Godzilla didn't hurt you, Sean.
Look, I feel like I give out so few ones. Son of Godzilla earned that one, I have to say. So I'll give it to that.
Oh, he did.
What was the last one you gave a 1 to?
I can't remember. In our research. Episodes, are you saying like the Franchyze Boiz?
Yeah.
This is a pretty low one. Maybe one of the Freddy Krueger movies.
No,
maybe one of the Die Hard, like a Good Day to Die Hard, the 5th one.
Oh yeah.
That one's pretty depressing.
That's rough.
And it's really, my dislike for a film is almost like I will take Tommy Wiseau, Neil Breen level awful over this any day of the week, specifically because those movies are like go into the bonkers, ridiculous, insanely funny. And Son of Godzilla is like bad in the way where, like you said, it's just boring.
Okay, Brad,
that almost makes it
Brad,
worse.
I've done my research. Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. Sean's lowest rating for the Franchyze Boiz is a 0.5 star to AVP Requiem.
Oh yeah,
get the hell out of
That
here!
movie sucks. Go back and listen to that episode.
But you know how wrong this guy is, because he also gave 1 star to Batman and Robin and 1 star to Too Fast, Too Furious.
Ugh.
I don't know. I don't know where we're going wrong.
Off mic, everyone.
Which one upsets
Sean
you more?
was praising FX.
Which one upsets you more, Batman and Robin?
I think Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin, I like Batman and Robin more than I like The Dark Knight Rises. I'll put that out there. How's that for a hot take? Yeah,
dude. I can't. Sometimes it's just not healthy for me to be on this podcast.
That's it for the Showa era part 1. I am impressed with us. I think this is truly an accomplishment that we've done this in less than 2 hours, and I think we've done pretty well for ourselves, and I'm looking forward to continuing this journey with you guys. It's a shame we had to end on a low note, but what's nice is we get to start part 2 of the Showa era with Destroy All Monsters, which, spoiler alert, is definitely a high note. But we'll leave you here for now, and I guess, Aaron, do you want to tell the good people where you are out there on the internet?
Sure. You can find me at A Cool Hand Fluke. I'm always writing stuff on Letterboxd, whether it's long diatribes about Ebirah, Horror of the Deep, or stupid pithy reviews. Or you can find
your Godzilla reviews kept me company during this watch. So
I'm glad they keep somebody cozy. And you can also find me sometimes on Twitter. I'm trying to do more on Threads and see if that takes off, but we'll see what happens.
All righty, Brad, what are you doing?
You can find me on most social medias at Mouthdork, including Letterboxd, where I will be going through all 20 of Sean's 1-star movies, which includes another film in the Showa era that I guess we'll talk to in part 2.
Yes.
As well as Jaws the Revenge, 3 Ninjas, High Noon at Mega Mountain, Idle Hands, Wild Wild West, Attack of the Clones, Twilight, the first one, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, Good Day to Die Hard, The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I knew a Good Day to Die Hard.
Hobbit.
The Battle of Five Armies.
Moonfall. And Moonfall's pretty good, Sean.
No, the moon took too long to fall for me.
It's aliens, guys.
You do comic book couples counseling podcast, don't you?
Oh yeah. And I do comic book couples counseling. We just had our fifth anniversary.
50 years
Happy
of comic
birthday.
book.
Oh man.
50 years, everybody.
Yeah.
Brad and
really,
Lisa,
really.
they look great at 50 years old. But that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned it because I was still just like spiraling.
Still trying to throw me under the bus. I think those are pretty valid 1-star reviews.
Some of them.
Some of them
only
for
some.
sure. Some more than others. But I'm at Shawn Dorman if you want to take umbrage with my 1-star ratings. Please come find me on Twitter X or whatever it is. I am barely on there right now, but I'm on Letterboxd, so come say hi. It's just Shawn Dorman 05 there. But we'll be back to do this. I think we're gonna do it, Brad. I believe in us. I believe in the Franchyze Boiz.
You tell me when, and I'll be there.
All right, we're
as
gonna
long as
do
you
it.
Keep telling me when.
Just stay tuned. We will eventually get through all the Godzilla movies. And thank you everybody for listening and for your support and your love. Greatly appreciated. We will see you at the movies.